Hey guys, this is JAde with Dallas Jamming, and today I wanted to talk about the top hardware sequencers out right now. So I know there's a lot of awesome old vintage sequencers like the old Yamahas or the MPC 1000, but in this video I'm just going to focus on new sequencers. So there's two sequencers I want to get out of the way first because I know if I don't mention these, I'm going to get some hate. So the first one is the BeatStep Pro. The BeatStep Pro features two melodic sequencers and one drum sequencer. It is best to be used with modular gear because it has 8 gate outs, but it can also be used with regular synths. The second one is the Novation Circuit. The Novation Circuit is also a synthesizer and it can sequence its own sounds, but it also sequences external sounds. Again, that's only 2-channel sequencer, but this one is polyphonic, and the sequencer is a lot more straightforward for building songs in my opinion. Now let's talk about big boys and girls sequencers. So my first sequencer I want to talk about is the Social Entropy engine. The engine is an 8-track sequencer with 4-note polyphony, a grid-style recording mode, and it doesn't have a screen, so there's no menu diving. Since it doesn't have a screen, it does require a lot of button combination presses, so you do have to memorize those. If you're not constantly practicing them, it's easy to forget them. Besides that, the engine is a very straightforward sequencer. It's also CV expandable, so you can use it with your modular gear if you buy the expansion. And the only con of it is that it has 4-note polyphony, but really for that grid style I feel like it's more for monophonic synths. The engine sequencer really reminds me of a 303 style sequencer. It's really similar if you've ever played with a 303. It's very straightforward and I think it's a great sequencer in general. The second sequencer I want to talk about is the Squad Pyramid. So I had the Mark 1 of the Squad Pyramid. I think they recently upgraded the Mark 2 with like a better touchpad and a better chassis. My thoughts on the Pyramid is that it looks really amazing on paper, unlimited polyphony, the MIDI effects are really awesome, but when I had it, it did have a lot of bugs. It felt kind of incomplete, and although the creator was very involved in helping people in the forums, it's cool that yeah, you're listening to people's problems, but we really want to see a result, less bugs, and really a working machine. I did have it a few months ago, so maybe they did address a lot of bug issues. The main thing was that it didn't really have a pattern mode. I know the pattern update was a really big update, and that should have definitely changed the workflow for a lot of people. I would definitely try the Squad Pyramid again. I really want to hear back from anyone that has it. Have the bugs been fixed yet? Does it still crash and things like that? Because that's definitely something important when buying a hardware sequencer. You don't want your sequencer to crash in the middle of a performance while you're playing live. That's a no-no. So I just didn't trust it enough to perform with it and to be able to keep it for that reason. But like I said, there is a new Mark II. Maybe they changed things. Whoever has it, drop comments below and let us know. The third sequencer I want to talk about is the Digitact. So let's compare the Digitact to the Octatrack sequencer. They're both electron-style workflow sequencers, except that the Digitact has conditional trigs and the Octatrack has song mode. Although a lot of people feel the Digitact is more advanced in the sequencing, I would say the Octatrack wins sequencing in here because you get song mode, you get MIDI effects, you get an ARP, and the Octatrack has a memory card slot, so you can save hundreds of projects. I feel having 16 steps laid horizontally makes it a lot easier than having 8 and 8. That's just my own personal opinion. The Digitact is an awesome sequencer because it's still electron sequencing, but for me, I feel the Octatrack wins because of song mode and because of the ease of being able to name your projects and organize them and move them back and forth from the computer. You also get designated MIDI buttons for each track, which is very handy. Also, you get a crazy amazing sequencer on the Octatrack. On the Digitact, it's just a one-shot sequencer. On the Octatrack, you can play long tracks, backing tracks, stereo tracks. So for me, the Octatrack is a better sequencer, but with the Digitact, you do get that smaller compact form, and it's half the price, so there's that. Another good sequencer is the MPC Live and the MPC X. Although my experience with the MPC wasn't the greatest, I have heard stories of people having zero issues with their MPCs. So if the MPC works how it's supposed to work and how it's advertised, the MPC is a great sequencer. It's not really on the dullest side, I wouldn't say, because you're editing your notes on a piano roll. For me personally, I want to get away from the piano roll when I'm composing, but for other people that just want an all-in-one hub where they can play samples, they can sample into, they can have an awesome drum machine, a lot more than 4-note polyphony. I think it's like 128 polyphony if I'm not mistaken, maybe 64, but still it's enough polyphony to be able to make chords and write whole songs on the MPC Live. On the Digitact and Octatrack you can, but you work more in a 4x4 workflow, so you really have to get used to chaining patterns to create the kind of melodies and kind of transitions that you want to create. With the MPC Live, it's a lot more straightforward, kind of like working in a DAW. Like I said, that's not a bad thing. It all depends on workflow, but my main thing is I don't want a piece of gear that is crashing, and with the MPC, that was my issue. So if you have one and they've made an update, let us know below if they fixed all those issues so people can actually feel comfortable buying it. The next sequencer I want to talk about is the Sequential X Circle On. So the Circle On is known by many to be the most amazing, the most lusted over, the hardest to get sequencer out there. I mean, literally there's like a year-long wait list to get your hands on a Circle On, but I guess there's a reason for it. They came out about maybe almost a little over 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and they have 5 MIDI ins, 5 MIDI outs. You can get a CV expansion for it. It has that grid style layout that everybody likes, and in everyone's eyes it's the most amazing sequencer. I myself haven't had a personal experience with the Circle On. I would love to, but everyone that has had their hands on it absolutely loves the Circle On, and it's like the master of sequencers. It's over $1,000, so if you've got that kind of dough to drop on a sequencer, that's probably your best bet. It's not a sampler, it's just a sequencer, so you're spending $1,000 on just sequencing. With the Octatrack you get sampling, things like that. Not that I'm pushing the Octatrack, but Octatrack is my personal favorite sequencer. So don't think this list is about which one is the most amazing sequencer. These are all great sequencers and they all have different workflows. So if you want to know more about them, check out their website, see which features you need most. Do you need polyphony? Do you need song mode? I wrote an article for Ask Audio about top hardware sequencers a few months ago, and they're pretty much still the same. Nobody has come out with anything amazing, except for the PolyN SEC. The PolyN sequencer is an 8-track sequencer, and it has 32 steps literally right in front of you in these amazing little buttons that it looks very intuitive, very fun to play, and everything is literally right in front of you. I feel the sequencer is going to be very awesome for live performance and changing notes on the fly, because you have literally all your steps right in front of you for every single track. They also offer a module for modular, but it's like $400 just to get MIDI CV to the sequencer. But it really is a crazy looking module. Like, this is probably the best MIDI to CV module out there, but it is on the pricey side. Besides that, it has a tiny screen. Not sure how much menu diving you're gonna have to be doing on the screen. Hopefully it's not a lot. It really looks like an intuitive sequencer, and kudos to PolyN for making a different sequencer, something that is hands-on, something that doesn't look like everything else. The workflow is different and it looks intuitive. If anybody has one, let us know how you like it. I would like to get my hands on one just to try it. It is kind of on the big side from the pictures that I've seen. Maybe it's smaller in person, but it does look like a very fun sequencer to play on. So yeah, those are the top sequencers out right now. Let me know which ones I missed. I know there's a lot of awesome, good vintage sequencers that you can get on the cheap. Let us know which ones you guys suggest for people on a budget or people just trying to go vintage. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and support a sister on Patreon if you can. Catch you guys later.